You are watching the first episode of the episode. The first episode of the episode does not appear like the first episode of the episode because the first episode of the episode is not the first episode of the episode, nor the second episode of the episode. It is actually the third episode of the episode. We will not be showing you the first episode of the episode, and we will not be showing you the second episode of the episode due to their sheer awesomeness. This first and third episode of the episode is filmed in front of a live studio audience. Did I mention you can catch the first and second episode of the episode at the episode website, www.theepisode.ca. Wow, I thought I was going to have an episode there.
And they're not even Canadians. Like, why? Because they carry the name of the country, right?
It's magic. It's magic. Why do I...
Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the episode. My name is Sean McLaren, and I want to thank you for tuning in. Actually, it kind of feels like we have a connection. Almost like I'm looking directly through the camera and at you, in your living room, sitting there watching me on the TV in your underwear. A little bit creepy? Okay, let's try this. If you want creepy, check out what's going on with Dynamic Earth right now. Dynamic Earth is actually looking for actors right now for their Tunnel of Terror happening around Halloween. Now, the job is really simple. All you gotta do is hide out in the dark, 2,000 feet underground, wait until a bunch of little kids show up and some nubile teenagers and scare the bejesus out of them. That sounds creepy. Actually, our producer, Mike, he applied for the job, but he was promptly fired after he asked, "It's clothing optional, right?" Man, the internet is getting weirder and weirder. The latest trend replacing planking, which was weird on its own, is now called Batmanning, where people are taking pictures of themselves hanging upside down like a bat. Thank God that 2 girls, 1 cup thing didn't really take off the way they hoped. Where's the chocolate rain kid when you need him? Now, parents, raise your glasses and throw a juicy steak on the barbecue because the kids are back in school, huh? Thank God. Apparently, one student wasn't very happy with the situation. I was reading in the newspaper that a 15-year-old recently disabled all the telephones in his house and trapped his mom inside of the kitchen. Now, I get angry when my mom doesn't cut the crust off my PB&J too, but that's going a little bit too far. Actually, there are a lot of parents a little bit mad because their kids have to walk home from the bus stop. Back in my day, I always want to say that, back in my day, I had to walk uphill both ways with no shoes, fight the Minotaur at the end of the labyrinth, and then jump over the alligator pit. I actually didn't go to school all that much. How do you like them apples, guidance counselor? I'm on TV. Actually, speaking of alligators, they just recently found a 2,300-pound alligator in the Philippines. I knew I should have listened to my mom when she told me not to flush Snappy down the toilet. I say he goes on The Biggest Loser next summer, just because that show sucks and it would make it interesting now. And finally, the Academy Awards have recently announced that Eddie Murphy is going to be this year's Academy Award host, leaving many people wondering, is it going to be fat, nutty Professor Eddie Murphy hosting the show? Or is it going to be annoying Shrek Donkey hosting the show? Or possibly even Charlie Murphy showing up hosting the show? I, for one, really do hope that it's Eddie Murphy, Ron Delirious Eddie Murphy at the show, wearing a bright red leather jacket and teasing Zac Efron and Taylor Lautner by saying, "You don't got no ice cream. Your dad's an alcoholic." All right, guys, we have a great show for you tonight. I'm sorry for ripping off Eddie Murphy, but I had to. We are going to have an amazing guest inside of the hot seat tonight. We have Michael Winslow of Police Academy fame, Spaceballs fame, tosh.o just recently, and the man of 1,000 voices. And our musical guest is the very, very talented Danny Starr. But first, I just want to talk a little bit about the fact that we're just starting this show out, but that hasn't stopped some of our more adamant viewers from sending in some viewer suggestion videos, telling us the things they want to see on the show. And frankly, we just wanted to show it to you because, well, these people are nuts.
Well, hi, episode. My name's Chuck, and I want to talk to you about maybe some things you could consider doing on that there show of yours, okay? Now, first and foremost is that there's way too much women stuff on it, alright? I want to know about home improvement, I want to know about NASCAR, and I want to know about beer, okay? You got people talking about bands and all sorts of weird stuff like politics. I don't know nothing about politics. I want to know, how can I figure out what a miter saw is as opposed to a skill saw? I want to know, what the hell is all this stuff on my wall? I don't know. I got all this stuff in the garage. I can't even use it. Maybe you could get that Mike Holmes fella on there and we can actually learn some stuff. Okay? Stop being a bunch of pansies!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the episode. I'm sitting here with a very, very funny guy, actor, comedian, man of many voices, lover of women, Michael Winslow. Thank you. I read that on your bio, actually. Nice to meet you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, sir. Now, Michael, you're here in town doing some comedy shows, which is awesome. I just want to kind of start off by saying thank you very much for being on the show. And first and foremost, it's been kind of cool meeting somebody that I grew up watching. I mean, Police Academy, Spaceballs. Recently, I saw you on tosh.o. First things first, man, how do you keep it going? How do you keep such an awesome career happening?
I have to keep people laughing, otherwise the guy from MMA is gonna hurt me.
He's really big and he's really, really strong. He's gonna hurt me.
No, you can
You can take him. Seriously, the guy's...
Oh, but his kung fu is very good.
So how good is your kung fu, though?
Well, that depends on the style of kung fu.
So what do you practice? The whooping crane or the jumping tiger? Or
Jumping
possibly
tiger.
the praying mantis?
That would be Walloon Northern style. Yes, I do.
You just recently took... You were telling me earlier on that you just got back from Edinburgh. You were over at the Scotland, the Fringe Festival.
I was in Edinburgh.
And how's Edinburgh?
It's spelled Edinburgh, but it's pronounced Edinburgh.
Is it because you were wearing a kilt the entire time and it was getting cold, or...?
You don't ask me what was underneath there.
I don't want to know. That's fine.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. Did they make you an honorary Scot?
The world's, yeah, an honorary Scot. Where's my scotch? I was an honorary, you know what, that was a month and a half of the biggest festival in the world. World's biggest comedy music arts festival.
So how many performers are we talking? Are you looking at in the thousands?
In the thousands, 500 venues, 3,000 performances. Everybody was there. Tom Green was there. Hung out with him a little bit. Margaret Cho was there.
Nice.
Even Malkovich was there.
John Malkovich was there? Was he doing a show?
Promoting a play he was producing.
That's awesome.
It's huge, and you need to go next year and check it out.
We were talking about it on the car ride, man.
Yeah.
I want to check it out badly. It's one of those things where I was around there when I was down in Scotland, and I didn't have the chance to check it out, and I would love to see it.
Well, you're going to do that next year, but guess what? We are in Canada. I'm here in...
Yes, let's talk about those dirty Scots. Let's
you say that to them, eh?
My last name's McLaren. I'm allowed to say it, man.
Oh,
It's
then you're cool.
Yeah, it's all right.
to see you,
I was
man.
going to wear a kilt, but Cliff was worried about the lighting. So, okay, stop. That hurts. It burns. That's what she said. Only when she pees. You're here in Canada.
Wait a minute, what show is this?
How often do you make it up to Canada?
I'm up here about every other month.
Every other month?
So, and having a great time.
Awesome. So you're in Sudbury, you're doing 2 shows. You're doing one tonight, and you're going to be heading off to the one tomorrow.
Yes.
What do people expect on your show? What are we talking?
Well, let's just say that my job is to help everybody forget about the rent for a minute.
Yeah, man.
Because you know how it's been the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of music in the show. A lot of music, a lot of comedy, a lot of stand-up, some theatrical stuff, a couple of surprises.
Nice.
And we'll end it with a little Louis Armstrong.
I like it. I like it a lot. Well, listen, Michael, it's a pleasure to have you here on the show. We really appreciate it. Best of luck with everything you do. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Nice. We need him for every single show. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning into the episode, and we'll be back after this break. Thank you very much.
Ka-ching.
And they're not even Canadians. Like, why? Because they carry the right?
Wow.
And here comes the music. Welcome back to the 5-Minute Major. I'm your host, Alex Francis. I recently had an opportunity to catch up with legendary mixed martial arts referee Big John McCarthy. We got to talking about MMA and all things related. Check out our highlights from the interview. Thanks for doing this today.
My pleasure.
I guess we'll start off with a question regarding, you're used to doing events in places like Vegas and LA. What's it like coming this far north to do an event?
That's awesome. You know, I try to tell people all the time. People always say, "Oh, you know, it's got to be great doing the big events." It is, but it's also great doing events that aren't that big, just because you get to see MMA at the grassroots level. You get to see some fighters that are really just starting out. You get to see some that are coming up and they're going to be in that next level. And it really doesn't matter to me. I tell people all the time, it doesn't matter if there's 50,000 people or 50 people. As long as it's a good fight between two guys that are technically good, I love it. So it does not matter.
What do small events like this mean for the sport, in your opinion, in terms of perpetuating the sport, and maybe gaining more awareness in the sport in general?
Well, this is the sport. People look at like the UFC and they think, that's a sport. That's that last bit. It's no different than, all right, you can look at the NFL. That's that last bit for someone to get to. But there was all those little tiny peewee leagues and high school football and college football and everything leading up to it. And that's what grassroots MMA is. When you're talking about a show that comes to a place, you get all these different levels. You get the amateurs, and then you get into some that are small level, and then you get into ones that are mid-level shows like this one in Sudbury, where you get guys that have been fighting for a while that are really good at what they do, but might have had some hard times, or might have gone into fights with guys that, they weren't quite prepared for at that time in their career, and now they've built themselves back to where now they're coming to the point where they're going to be going into those fights, into the bigger shows against those same guys, and now they have the skills and techniques to actually compete with them. So this is what MMA is all about, are these types of shows.
Yeah, events like this being very important for the exposure to the sport.
It's important this is where fighters learn their craft. George St. Pierre is phenomenal, but trust me, he started out at lower level shows. He didn't start out in the UFC because only in the beginning were those guys there, and I'm one of the old ugly guys that was there in the beginning, and there was some guys, they only had their fights in the UFC, and you'll get a couple.
Where do you see the sport 5 years out?
5,
10, 15 years out?
If you look at how much the sport has really grown over 18 years, is really what it's been. And it had its hard times, and we had a lot of dark times that we talk about. But now it's so accepted, and you look at like what the deal that the UFC just did with Fox, that's a network, and it's so much bigger than most people actually understand.
So switch gears a little bit and ask a really off the cuff question: what's the craziest thing you've seen in a fight?
Oh my God!
You don't got to drop any names.
No, I've seen so many things, and there's some things that are very sad, and during fights. There's some things that are touching during fights. There's guys that they have so much heart, and they won't quit. And fighters talk to each other even when they're in the ring, and even when they're fighting, and they'll say things to each other, and it's usually not. Some are bad things. You got like a Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz is calling everybody a bitch. That's what he does. He hits somebody, he goes, "How'd that feel, bitch?" Right? And then he talks, and then you'll get guys that get tired of him, and they'll tell the guy, "Hey, come on, man, dude, just give it up," because they've been putting a beating on someone, and that guy will look up at him and say, "Ain't ever happened. You have to kill me." And you look and you go, "That's just a tough sucker." But I mean, I've had so many things happen inside the rings. I've seen people losing their lunch in both directions. I mean, it happens. You get all those kind of things happening in fights.
Oh, that's interesting. I guess the next question is at the start of a fight, you look a fighter in the eye. Have you ever been able to more or less determine the outcome of a fight? Like, have you ever seen a guy that clearly just doesn't want to be there?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's something I tell people, if the referee was able to go after talking to the fighters in the back, because we go into the back and we talk to each fighter usually individually. Many times we'll have a rules meeting, and then we'll actually go and talk to the fighters individually so they understand what is going to be the bout conduct. When I say something, this is what it means, and this is what I need you to do. Because I don't ask questions of fighters inside the ring, but I make statements, and they have to respond off of those statements. Okay. And they have to know what those are, and they have to feel comfortable with them, so that when that time comes, if it does, they know exactly what it means and what they need to do if they want to stay with what they're doing or change it. Mm-hmm. And you'll go in the back with fighters, and most of the times you can see the fighters that are well prepared and are ready to go, and you'll see the guys that are not. And there's a lot of times guys have come in and they haven't done the right things in preparing themselves in their preparation. They haven't trained right. They haven't put in the time. Sometimes these guys are world champions, but they know, what? I waited too long. I'm now at the event, and I'm not ready. And you'll see it. And so I tell everyone, the best people for betting would be the referee after they've talked to the fighters, because about 98, 99% of the time, you're pretty clear on it.
You've been involved with the UFC since '93.
Yeah, since the beginning.
That's a hell of a
Yeah, I'm old. I'm very old.
I guess my question would be, what is your opinion of the state of officiating as it is right now?
You know, there's so many. Here's the thing: there's so many more fights going on now than it was in the past, and you know, the true state of top-level officiating is much better now than it was in the past. The biggest problem we have is we have a lot of people that are getting into the sport, coming into wanting to be officials, that, you know what, their level is not that high. They may not know the sport the way they need to. They get into it, you know, saying, oh, I do martial arts. And because someone does martial arts does not mean they're ready to do MMA. It doesn't mean that they know what's going on in that ring. And a referee or a judge, either one, needs to understand everything that the fighter is doing. And I mean not, oh, that's a takedown. They need to know what type of takedown it was. Is that a double leg takedown? Is that a single? Is that a Uchimata? Is that a Seoinage? They have to understand the differences. When you hear a broadcast like, you know, a UFC, and you hear Joe Rogan talking and he's saying, oh, they're in a scramble. Well, that's nice that Joe puts it all into this like scrambled egg thing, but that's generalizing what's happening, and the referee or that judge needs to understand, okay, it's a scramble. I see this guy going for that single leg. This guy's doing a spladle to try to stop it. He's into a switch, and it's going to tell you which guy is being the offensive person in it, and which one is defending against what's happening, and that's going to help you in putting yourself in the right place or in giving credit to the right person about who's actually doing the most in the fight. And so it's not good enough for someone to say, oh, that's a takedown. You have to be able to say everything that those fighters are doing. You have to know every type of submission they're doing so you can break it the right way, or know when someone is in trouble and when they're not, because that slows the fight down for you, which helps you in making a decision when that decision needs to be made. So, you know, if I look at someone and I see that, you know, they're putting us, and I see this guy defending it right, and I look and say, it's never going to work, that helps me be calm in the fight. No, that's not going to work. And then if I don't know it, and then all of a sudden, oh, and then you're trying to jump in and do things because you haven't properly prepared yourself for that. So the officiating, especially in the mid-level shows and things like that, it needs to get more consistent. We need more consistency with every official, no matter what level they're at, all the way up to the top. So that consistency starts to bring itself over to where the fans are used to what's happening and the fighters are used to what's going to occur. And once you have it to where everyone's doing something the same way, that's going to help benefit the sport. It's going to help benefit because the fans are going to expect things at a certain time or say, no, that was right. You know, he did the right thing. He shouldn't have called that. So all of that leads to it being better. But overall, the top, right now, it's better than it ever was. We just need to bring the other levels up.
Okay. Well, that's your 5 minutes. Greatly appreciated.
Sorry for running my mouth.
Anytime, my friend, anytime. There you have it, folks. Hope you enjoyed the interview as much as I did. Big John McCarthy is easily one of the nicest people I've ever met. MMA is lucky to have a guy like that promoting the sport. That's it for the 5 Minute Major.
I'm Cliff, director of the episode.
And I'm Alex, host of the 5 Minute Major.
We are now looking for our female field reporter for the episode. We're looking for somebody who is dynamic, full of personality, and fearless. More importantly, they have to have a complete lack of shame to join our team.
And you need to be hot.
We are not that shallow. You will get to go to some amazing events.
And pick up my dry cleaning.
You also won't be picking up his dry cleaning, but you will meet some interesting celebrities and newsmakers in Northern Ontario.
And get my latte. And when you get my latte, I need 2 twists of cinnamon and a mint leaf.
You will definitely not be picking up his coffee.
Latte. I only drink latte.
Please ignore him. That is not what the job is about.
Am I at least gonna get a foot rub?
I can't even explain to you how disgusting that is. You will not have to do any ridiculous tasks for the host. Please send in your resume and a headshot if you want to join the team at the episode.
Thanks, boss. Welcome back to the episode. My name is Sean McLaren, and you, ladies and gentlemen, are about to be treated to an excellent oral treat. We right now have Danny Starr playing live at SRO for your listening pleasure. Take it away, Danny.
Child, close your eyes. dream about your place in time. Tonight we light a torch of inspiration. You waited all this time to spread your wings and fly. Tonight we light a fire deep inside. For so long I've tried to break these chains. Now I feel strong enough to play the game. So mama, let me go. I want to make it on my own. I'm not a child anymore, and I'm ready to show all the world I'm stronger now than ever before. The flame that burns in my mind is lighting up the road. For so long, I've tried to break these chains. Now I feel strong enough to play the game. Do 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 do. There's a glint in your eyes, like a diamond in the sky. The time has come to shine. Spread your wings and fly. So mama, I'm bringing home the start of a brand new road of strength, courage, love, and hope. For so long, I've tried to break these chains. Now I feel strong enough to play the game. So let's go. Bring the gold medal home. Stay the course. Burning in my mind like a fire in the night. A torch of inspiration.
It's magic. Why do I...
Ladies and gentlemen, Danny Starr. Now, Danny, you've been playing music for a very long time, and I think that song was a pretty heartfelt tune. Can you tell us what the name of that was?
Yeah, it's Torch of Inspiration. Well, that was the original song that I wrote for the Ontario Summer Games that were in Sudbury last summer, but it was kind of mellow, so they wanted something a bit more upbeat, so I rewrote another song after, but that was the original one that I wrote for the athletes of the games.
So how long have you been playing music for right now?
Just a couple of days.
Not bad for a couple of days. You're a protege, my friend. You're doing okay. So being in Sudbury, being a musician in Sudbury, what's it like to kind of plug away and make sure that your voice is heard amongst so many others?
It's good. You know, it's up and down. It's a grind sometimes, but other times it's great. And there's a lot of guys like me around town that play for a living. That play 3, 4, 5 nights a week. And it's great. We all love playing music, and that's why we do it. And never gonna stop.
My last question: where can we check you out online? Do you have Facebook? Do you have a website? Anything like that?
Yeah, I have all of that. I have a pretty decent website. It's DannyStarMusic.com. That's DANI Star Music, and also on Facebook and YouTube as well. Big online presence.
Right on. Thank you very much, Danny. And thank you to everybody who tuned in at home. We appreciate everybody checking out the episode. And of course, check us out on Facebook and Twitter. It's theepisode.ca if you're looking for us online. And I also want to make a special mention and a big thank you to Mayor Marianne Matichuk for coming out tonight. Projects like this and the support that we receive from our politicians and our public figures is crucial to make sure that things like the episode and, of course, Danny Starr's music, as well as MMA fighting and comedy stay alive here in Sudbury. So we thank you very much, Mrs. Manichuk, and call me, okay? All right. Thank you very much, guys. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode. My name is Sean. Have a good one.